Welcome. Are you an entrepreneur at heart but contemplating going back to your W-2? Contemplate no more. This video is for you, an entrepreneur like myself who went back to their W-2. Welcome back to Wealth and Wellness with Grace. On today's episode, I'm super excited to share so many nuggets in this video about W-2, entrepreneurship, and both. So if you're doing one thing or the other, guess what? This video is for you. One of my viewers and my very wonderful supporter on this channel asked me recently, Grace, why entrepreneurship and nursing? And I get this question asked a lot too. So when I put out a video about the lessons I learned as a nurse, look at that video. Guess what? He asked, which one do I like most? I thought about it and I was like, this is a great video. Why did I even think about going back to nursing in the first place? So one of the things I want to share in this video is my journey. So if you don't want to hear my journey to entrepreneurship, please skip 2 minutes ahead. So let's start with my journey. I grew up in Uganda. So as a child, I watched both my parents, entrepreneurs, grow businesses, start businesses, and then sometimes those businesses would dissolve, unfortunately. And I even worked in those businesses. Can you believe, as a kid, I know how to manufacture tea leaves? Because I packaged tea leaves with my little tiny bare hands. Every day after school, guess what? We had a job to do. We were employees in my dad's factory. So as soon as we finished school, we had a few minutes to make sure that we are home, drop off of our backpacks, change, go back to the factory like clockwork. On the weekends, 8 a.m., you needed to be at the factory or else you was gonna get in trouble. And I did get in trouble a few times. Long story, but I learned from it, okay? But then he also told me 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. as a child working in the factory. I thought my dad was the worst. I thought that was terrible. You see? So when I tell my kids that, I'm like, I don't ask you to do this. I'll ask you to do that. And you think I'm bad? But I still don't consider my dad bad because he was teaching me a lesson and I learned so many of those lessons. And especially one of the lessons was I did not want to work in a factory for the rest of my life. No, that's not the W-2 I'm talking about. Anyways, so my journey started rough. So I know firsthand what entrepreneurship is because I've watched my parents. Sometimes it was successful, sometimes it wasn't. Like instances where my dad would trust people and they come out not to be trustworthy. My mom too, several instances, she trusts them, they steal, they do all kinds of things, unfortunately, you see. And so on my journey, as a kid, I used to make these paintings. I wasn't the best at it, but I always put my faith and my effort, and I would put my little paintings together, and I would go to the church and sell my little paintings, and it was so generous. They knew those paintings were not much and great, but they bought them. So I started selling my little paintings slowly by slowly. And this was when I was in elementary and high school. So after that, I transitioned into an MLM, y'all. Because I've had a lot of people also ask me, Grace, have you done this? Oh, welcome to this opportunity, Grace. And I'm like, which one is it? Because every time somebody tells me about an opportunity, nowadays I'm very skeptical because trust me, I was not victim to just one. I was victim to 2 MLMs. So the first one was in Uganda, where my mom was selling these wonderful health products. So the problem is those health products, they were expensive. And then come to find out later on, okay, after I transitioned to the US, I bought those health products for my mom from Uganda. Do you know one little bottle of a health product was $20? And then I looked up the ingredients on that health product bottle and the same ingredients at a bottle from the same health products were similar. Guess what? This bottle was $2. So you're talking about $2 bottle. But for here, whatever the company is, I want to share the company, just for respect. This other company was selling for $20. I was mind blown. I was like, no wonder they never actually legalized those products in the US. Because these were Chinese products, but we were telling people, or we were told to tell people that they can cure. No, we were not even, you see, we were not certified to even tell people these things. You see, but these were what the MLMs, the multi-level marketing business, was doing. And I know so many multi-level businesses out there, some insurance companies, Mary Kay, that was the second company I went into. A wonderful lady showed up at my college at Southeastern, and she was like, I'm giving out free samples. Free, mark free. Free samples. You see, guess what? I'd like the free samples, and then I paid $100 to become a distributor. I was so devastated to get rid of those samples and those products. Literally, it took me months to get rid of those products. And it's sad because I used to work 3 jobs. Those little 3 jobs as a W-2 to support my MLM problem in Mary Kay. Not a great idea. And so at the end of the year, I got rid of all those products. In fact, I gave them away for free. That's how serious I was. Like, I'm not playing with this business model anymore. Because 90%, but they say 99% of people in MLMs don't make money. And when you look at the IRS tax code, do you know what differentiates an actual business versus a hobby? It has to make a profit. So if you're telling me 99 and I'm making a profit, that's a hobby. Therefore, the hard lesson for me was to cut my losses. Get rid of the quick money or the high potential money and all those outlandish claims, and just focus on creating a business, an actual business that will make a profit. And this is how I even started my little business, Kissa Homes, and I'll call it little, but it's mighty. So we are growing, and I'm so proud of my business. And through the business as an investor in Kissa Homes, I also manage. So that's another business model, because you manage it. It's another business. And now we have Kissa Consulting, where we consult with other people. That's another business. And then now I'm an agent as a real estate agent and realtor. Guess what? I help other people also learn to become agents, learn to become investors, learn to become homeowners, learn to become so many wonderful things. So that's the power of entrepreneurship. So even if I had not so great upbringing and also history with entrepreneurship, because I had a lot of people I had to learn from, because everything is a lesson. So I had to take it as a lesson and figure out exactly what did I learn from Mary Kay? What did I learn from this? What did I learn from that? And those lessons have helped me now that I'm actually in my other businesses. Let's discuss, are entrepreneurs made or are they born? So this is important to know, because so many times we think that entrepreneurs are born. You see that if you're born with a certain skill, that's your thing. But no, I'm sorry to disappoint you. Entrepreneurs can be made. That's like any habit. One of the good habits I can share is singing. I have a daughter who is great at singing. Since childhood, she's always had that beautiful music voice. And in fact, my brother too. So I believe she takes it from my brother and my grandfather. So they have a big history and wonderful voices. Guess what? This year, I've tried singing in choir, doing different things, and my voice always cracks up. It's not the same. But sometimes when I'm singing at home, they tell me, Mama, you're off key. But that's okay, because I realized that I had to get better. And I could get better if I practiced. So when you talk about entrepreneurships are born, that is the skill you're actually born with, the talents which you can nurture. However, if you're not nurturing those talents and skills, guess what? You don't get to use them. However, on the other end, if you have this commitment to doing that thing, okay? You want to become that thing. You want to become a musician. You want to become an athlete. Guess what? Outliers share how so many times we don't think that people are made, but they're actually made because of what they did. They practiced 10,000 hours. Because, like, you know, it takes 10,000 hours to become an expert. So all those wonderful athletes, musicians, pianists, anybody out there who's doing the best at their field, guess what? They put in the time. So it's the iceberg effect. You don't see whatever they sacrifice, all the pain, the struggle, the toil. You don't see none of that. You only see the tip of the iceberg. And that's the putting in the time. So please, if you haven't read this book, I really appreciate this book. I put, you see, notes in the book to remind me where I needed to look at every time I feel like, oh, I don't want to do this. Okay. Have you put in the time? Maybe this is not working out, whatever business you're in or whatever. Guess what? Have you put in the time? Because that's what it is. And then, not just putting in the time. Guess what? Knowing exactly the activities you're putting in the time for. It's not the same. You see, we talked about the E to E ratio. Entertainment, budget, education. Are you productive in those activities? Are you focused? Okay, do you have a goal that you're trying to achieve? Or are you just doing it just to end and finish the goal? Or you say, no. You got to do it to grow. Do it to get better. And that's what I mean by putting in those 10,000 hours. You don't want to waste a whole decade thinking that you are great at something and you are. So put in the time by doing the quality activities that's going to produce results. There's so many wonderful things you need to do to get better. And this doesn't matter if you're born with the talent or you're just working towards it. Guess what? You need patience. You need the ability to learn. You need dedication to doing it and discipline. You need your ability to lead, because all this, you have to be a leader. You can't just wait for somebody to tell you. A leader self-directs themselves to do something, you see? Because you have to be so good at it that you can teach somebody about it. That's what a leader does. And lastly but not least is the hard work when nobody's watching. Because a lot of time we think, okay, I'll do it when my parents are awake so they can think I'm doing this. Or when my wife is this, when my kids are this, I can show up in front of them. No. You have to do it when no one is watching. And that's what it actually means, being an entrepreneur. And so now, let's go back to why I transitioned into my WTO. So I mentioned a few things why I consider going back to nursing. I'm a registered nurse and I love my job as a registered nurse. I love what I get to do with people. I get to serve. I get to serve my community. I get to educate, most importantly. Because sometimes we need to really teach people what they can do to avoid going back in the hospitals. Most times, people don't have time to tell people what they need to do, you see? So I'm the one nurse who always tells people, okay, this is what's going on. This is what you can do to avoid doing the same thing. So I like that about myself, that I put the time to educate above anything else. And also, it's a source of revenue. I need some funds. Entrepreneurship, if you're not committed getting that consistent income, it can be challenging. So I need that consistency in the income because, like I said, I have a lot of deals going on and I need to make sure I have backing. Another reason why I went back to my W2 are the benefits, health benefits, 401k. Those are commendable benefits. Sometimes as an entrepreneur, we might not get those benefits because as an entrepreneur, you have to make those benefits on your own. They're expensive. So 401k, guess what? I have a 401k now. Before, I used up my 401k from the previous job, but that's okay because now I have a new 401k and I'm going to start putting in towards that. And health benefits, you see, we need health benefits. We need to make sure we go to our checkups, people, every year. Have you got your physical, your dental, all that matters. You see, your visual. A lot of us are losing eyesight, people. Not good. We need to make sure our eyes are checked, our teeth, all this affects our health. You see, and also making sure we take that, whatever it is, that physical is going to save you. You don't want to get caught up just going to the hospital at the last minute. We can avoid some of those things right now. Also, during hard times like recessions, being an employee, you might be shielded from those financial risks. Because as an entrepreneur, if that person doesn't purchase that item or that service, guess what? You're broke, unfortunately. But as a W-2, if whatever hours I put in, sweetie, I'm getting paid. So, so that helps. At least you don't have that issue when it comes to having that stability in that income. Another great thing about working with the W-2, it helps you work with other people. You're not always working by yourself. You see, I'm working with doctors, I'm working with nurses, I'm working with so many other people, because guess what? I didn't have to hire those people. Another team did. You see, the hospital did. So I'm here to do my job, but then they already have all these systems in place that are going to help me do my job. And that also brings me to also the opportunity to expand on your skills, because they have all these opportunities to learn. So if you want to take whatever course, sometimes they pay for those courses, whereby you're increasing your knowledge, but somebody else is taking care of that responsibility to pay for it. Like I mentioned, there are so many wonderful things that we need to think about when it comes to a W-2. And so that's why I went back to my W-2 as a registered nurse. And you might be wondering, how about your real estate as an investor? How about your property management? How about your agency and realtor job? Guess what? Those are still going on as well, because that's the flexibility of entrepreneurship, because I get to do so many things. So the 3 days that I'm working as a nurse, it doesn't stop me from doing my other things as an entrepreneur. So I still can balance. So it depends on exactly what you're trying to do, what you're prioritizing towards. So I like that about entrepreneurship. As an entrepreneur, there is a very unlimited income potential. Whatever effort you put in, that correlates to the profits. So if I put in a lot of effort initially and it compounds, it can be $1 million, it can be $10 million. Of course, it depends on the field. I'm not saying every field is going to do the same thing, but as an agent, I'll give a good example. If I have a lot of sales and so much going on in 1 month, I can even make $100 million. It depends on exactly what I do. So I'm just saying, you don't have a cap, versus if you are in W-2 where you have a cap. This is exactly the hours you worked and this is it. Entrepreneurship, I can do so much. I don't have to just work with one client. I can work with 100 clients. And then they don't tell you you can only work with this amount of money. Guess what? I can work with a billionaire. If they want to buy something $1 billion, I'm ready. Please call me. Another thing about entrepreneurship, you can turn your passion into a paycheck. I talk about this all the time, y'all. I love this about entrepreneurship because I love helping people. I mentioned that as a nurse. I like helping people as an agent and an investor and all those. But guess what? That's my passion. My passion to help people is now earning me a paycheck. What's better than that? So I get fulfilled knowing that I'm helping somebody, but it's also helping me. So I hope you consider that too. So if you are contemplating, guess what? Contemplate no more. You can do the W-2, but also always think about your passions and always focus on your passions. Because if that passion is helping somebody else and they're able to pay for it, guess what? You'll get the results. What I actually love most about entrepreneurship as well is something that my mentor always talked about: the power of ownership. As a business owner, as an entrepreneur, guess what? You have power in ownership. Most W-2s, they might promise you, okay, you can get this stock, you can get, most times you don't control those things. You see, they have control of that and they can choose to do whatever they want with them. As an entrepreneur, I get to choose what I want to do with my business, how much control I want to have in my business. You see, you have options. So think about that carefully and make sure you have ownership in your business. So sometimes we give away all this ownership and we lose control of our businesses. So always have majority owner in your business. And I think as an entrepreneur, you have a lot of innovation. So you can decide to do something today, and guess what? Implement it in your business. Most W-2s, you don't get to do that because you need all this approval from this administration and this. So you have a lot of chain of to tell you exactly what to do before you can implement anything. And yet in your entrepreneurship job, guess what? You can be creative one day and you're like, you know what? I want to make sure this book is enforced in all my systems. Guess what? You can do just that. Whatever you want to put in your business. You see, add whatever system. And I question you. You have to make sure you always follow through those systems. You don't just keep changing our systems. You see, try it. If it's working, then continue with it. Also, as a real estate investor, I love that we get a lot of tax advantages. Okay, so we have depreciation. Guess what? I love that about entrepreneurship. That's a big tax credit that you get back money every year in taxes. So W-2, sometimes it can be challenging because you're paying a lot of taxes. You know you pay over 30% in tax. Oh, that's a lot of money. But entrepreneur here, guess what? We have a lot of loopholes. I'm sorry. I know somebody's might gonna judge me out there. I'm sorry. I did not make these loopholes. Okay, these billionaires way up high on the food chain made all these loopholes. So as an investor, we are just taking a little partaking some of these loopholes. Therefore, ultimately, the choice to be a W-2 employee or an entrepreneur depends on you, your personal preferences, your risk tolerance, and also what you're looking to do with your career, because the choice is yours. Thanks again for watching, and I'm excited to do both. And I'm hoping that you can consider one or the other, or actually consider both, because it doesn't always have to be one or the other. Please share this with your friends and continue to like, subscribe, comment. I really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. And until next time, stay blessed, entrepreneurs and savvy investors.